We shall now look at functions and their different combinations. What I mean by combinations, functions which have no parameters and no return values, functions which have no parameters but have a return value. Okay, so all these different combinations, we'll just try to understand what they mean. So don't look at the theory first, look at the example in each of the slide. So when I'm saying void print message void, I'm printing the message welcome to C++. If you see here, this particular function is not returning any value. That's why I have written void. It is not accepting any argument. That's why the arguments are also void or none. So since it's not accepting any parameters, not returning any value, this is a function which has no arguments and it does not return any value. So the general syntax of this is void, name of the function, void to indicate no parameters, and these can be executable statements. So such a function does not receive or send any data back. That's the type of first function. Now take a look at a function with arguments but no return values. So take a look at this. Here I have a function called average which is accepting x, y and z. So user can send some numbers 10, 20, 30, whatever he or she wants. I have a local variable sum. Sum is x plus y plus z and average is sum divided by 3.0. I am printing the average in this particular function average. So what is this function? It is not returning any value, so I have written void. It has some arguments, so it is argument list is declared. So this is a function with arguments but no return value. The function may receive one or more arguments, at least one, but does not return any value. The general syntax is void because it's not returning any value. Name of the function is average. Argument list is this x, y and z. Statements are all of these statements are statements. So these are two kind of functions. Let's take a look at some other type of functions. So the first one happens to be functions with no arguments and a return value, and the next one happens to be function with argument and return value. We'll go through them one at a time. So for now, let's try to block this fellow out so that we don't get lost or distracted. So first take a look at this function greatest. Is it accepting any parameters? None. But it is returning an integer type of data. So what I am doing here is assume A and B are global variables. If A is greater than B, I am returning A, else I am returning B. So what the moral of the story here is, this is a function which does not take any arguments but returns one value at least. So the function receives no argument. That's why it is void or empty. Return type is int. So here return type is int. Name is greatest. This is blank. This is blank. In blank you can put void if you want. You have to leave it. It's automatically void. Statements. So this if and all are statements. Return is I am returning a single value. So this is an example of a function with zero arguments but a return value. Now let's take a look at one more problem. Here I have a function whose name is interest, whose return type is float, and it has three arguments p, t and r of floating data type. And I have float si or simple interest. So I say simple interest is ptr upon 100 or 100.0, whatever you want, and it has a return. So what is this example of? It is a function having arguments and also having a return type. That exactly what it is. So this function receives one or more arguments and definitely returns a value. Return type float, function name interest, argument list all these p, t and r. Statements are all these particular fellows, and then you have the return value. So these are the different combination of functions we shall be writing programs with. So each function we write will belong to one of these four groups which we just ran through or just took a glance at.